All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to this Elite Explainer Masterclass, where we are going to completely decode the Cambridge AS level Afrikaans language syllabus. Specifically, we're putting a laser focus on one of the most abstract yet absolutely critical areas of paper 8679, and that is presentation skills. Look, if you're aiming for the top tier, you already know the basics of Afrikaans grammar and vocabulary. You don't need me to teach you how to conjugate verbs. What you need is high-level, strategic insight into how examiners construct those high-tariff 9 to 15 mark questions. Today, we are going to tear apart the anatomy of these questions. We're going to decode the exact difference between a simple fact, a nuanced opinion, and a complex hypothesis. And we'll show you exactly how examiners test this using specific command words. So if you want to master the hidden constraints of these prompts and secure those top marks, you are exactly in the right place. Let's get started.
Now take a really close look at this quote. This isn't just some vague theory I came up with. This is directly from senior principal examiners. They are explicitly telling us that bridging that massive gap from a B to an A star requires way more than just linguistic fluency. It requires logical, structured reasoning and a masterful grip on how you present your analysis. Think about command word anatomy for a second. There is a galaxy of difference between the command word analyze and the command word evaluate. When Cambridge asks you to analyze, they want you to break down the text into its factual components. But when they drop the word evaluate on your desk, the game completely changes. Getting a top grade means proving you can handle complex, open-ended discussion points with absolute surgical precision, weighing different perspectives against each other.
Here is our rigorous, time-blocked blueprint for today. We're going from the examiner's lens all the way through to our interactive practice and strategy recap. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's keep moving.
Section 1, the examiner's lens. We need to look directly at the marking criteria to see the exact traps where top students bleed marks year after year.
Okay, according to the official Cambridge Principal Examiner reports, these are the 3 most common roadblocks, and honestly, they trip up even the smartest candidates. The absolute classic trap here is using the wrong analytical approach for the given context. For example, in the Afrikaans paper, candidates constantly fail to differentiate between extracting an author's stated, subjective opinion versus extracting a concrete, verifiable fact from the stimulus text. You might have memorized a perfectly beautiful, sophisticated essay structure, but if the examiner sees you treating a highly subjective hypothesis as a hard, undeniable fact, your presentation completely crumbles. Your argument falls apart, and you instantly lose access to the higher marking bands. They want to see that you understand the nuance of what you are actually reading.
Moving right along to Section 2, core principles and objectives. To avoid those exact traps we just talked about, we need to completely master the cognitive domains that the assessment objectives actually target.
Look at this framework. The Cambridge Assessment Framework ruthlessly prioritizes analytical depth over superficial breadth. You have 3 distinct cognitive domains here, which we call assessment objectives, or AOs. You have AO1, which is basic knowledge and understanding. This is purely descriptive. Then you have AO2, analysis, where you interpret relationships and structures. And finally, sitting at the very top, you have AO3, evaluation. To hit that highest marking band, you absolutely cannot just describe a fact. You have to evaluate competing hypotheses. Let me give you an example. It's the critical difference between the command word explain and the phrase to what extent. If a prompt asks you to explain, you're operating in those lower domains. You just outline the what and the how. But if it asks to what extent do you agree with the author's hypothesis, you are now in AO3 territory. You have to weigh the evidence, judge the validity of the claims, and form a highly synthesized conclusion.
So, the crucial takeaway here is that top-performing students never just regurgitate data. That's a massive rookie mistake. They develop a connected, conceptual understanding. The real test, the ultimate test on exam day, is whether you can take these abstract concepts and apply your evidence-based reasoning to a completely unfamiliar, complex Afrikaans text. Imagine you're reading a highly persuasive, potentially biased article. True mastery is the ability to instantly separate the author's hidden personal opinions from the actual verifiable facts, and then deconstruct exactly how they built their hypothesis from the ground up.
So how do we systematically do that under intense time pressure? Let's move to Section 3, the technical methodology matrix. We are going to translate all that high-level theory into a bulletproof procedural framework.
Whenever you are tackling these complex, high-tariff examination questions, you must systematically follow this 5-step standardized sequence. Do not skip around. Step 1. Distinctively extract the facts versus the opinions from the text. Be ruthless about categorizing them. Step 2. Interpret the relationships. Ask yourself, how does the author's overall hypothesis shift based on those specific opinions? Step 3. Execute your analysis using the correct command word framework. Step 4. And this is where most people drop the ball. Verify your results. Cross-reference your argument against the specific context of the prompt to make sure you haven't drifted off topic. And finally, Step 5. Present your findings using precise, academic Afrikaans terminology.
Now, I want to let you in on an incredible safety net, which we call the method mark strategy. Examiners will actually reward you for clear notation and logical processing. Listen to this. Even if your final discussion point or your overarching hypothesis goes slightly off the rails under exam stress, if you have clearly shown your working on the page, if you've mapped out exactly how you connected an opinion to a conclusion, you can still salvage crucial marks. Never, ever hide your analytical thinking process from the examiner. Put it all on the page.
Okay, we are about to jump into a really intense case study deconstruction, and we're going to solve one of the hardest parts of a typical presentation skills problem. But before we get into the weeds with our 2 student archetypes, let's take a quick pause. Mastering these abstract cognitive strategies takes consistent weekly practice. It does not happen overnight. So right now, please hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCS O and A levels at the handle @acetheexam_IGCS. And make sure you enable all notifications. You'll see the little bell icon popping up on your screen. We drop breakthrough Cambridge strategies just like this every single week, and I want to make sure you never miss a trick that could bump you up to that A star. All right, let's get back into the masterclass.
Let's dive into Section 4, the Case Study Deconstruction Debate. We're going to apply our 5-step methodology to a collaborative digital study suite featuring 2 hypothetical scholars, Alex and Sam. We're going to watch them debate an essay layout and see exactly where marks are gained and where they are completely lost.
Let's set the scene. Picture Alex and Sam sitting in a digital study room, working on a brutal 15-mark question that asks them to evaluate a heavily biased Afrikaans text. Now, Alex is our highly technical scholar. He looks at the paper and immediately starts pulling out formulas and facts. He excels at extracting concrete data. He says, "Look, Sam, we just need to list out chronologically every single fact the author presents. We nail the analyze command word, we get the marks." But Sam, who is our creative thinker, pushes back hard. She says, "No way, Alex, you're completely ignoring the command word. It says evaluate. If we just list facts, we're stuck in AO1 and AO2. We need a broader conceptual perspective. We need to discuss the author's hidden biases." So they start debating the layout. Alex wants a purely factual, structured approach, while Sam is arguing for a rich conceptual discussion. The problem is, Alex freezes up when asked to evaluate, and Sam completely lacks structural precision and time management. She's generating brilliant hypotheses, but she's completely ignoring our 5-step methodology, skipping over the vital verification stage.
So, they are actively drafting their model response on screen, paragraph by paragraph, and suddenly they hit a massive roadblock. They are completely stuck on how to link Alex's facts with Sam's evaluation. This is where I step in. I'm hitting pause on their session, using our picture-in-picture here, to explain the cognitive strategy they need to get unstuck. To reach the top-tier marks, you have to merge both of their strengths. You can't just have facts and you can't just have floating opinions. You have to question underlying assumptions and justify your recommendations with evidence. Here is how they were writing their flawed section. The text states that the new law is good, which is a strong point. That's mediocre. It's an observation, not an evaluation. Let's rewrite it out loud right now into a flawless full-mark response. While the author presents the verifiable fact that the legislation was passed, their subsequent hypothesis that it will benefit the community relies entirely on subjective, unverified opinions demonstrating a significant structural bias. Boom! Do you see the difference? We transition from a basic factual summary to a high level evaluative critique. All right, now it is your turn. Let's move to Section 5 for an immersive, visual workshop segment. I want you to set up, lean in, and put on your absolute strictest examiner hat.
Look closely at the screen. We are doing a spot the flaw exercise. I'm going to give you a mental 60-second countdown. Imagine you are marking a student's paper. This student has written a response that lists a dozen perfectly accurate facts about the broader topic, but they have completely failed to link those facts back to the specific Afrikaans stimulus text provided in the prompt. Think back to those principal examiner reports we dissected earlier. What critical procedural step from our 5-step matrix did this hypothetical student just totally skip over? Have you got it in your head?
If you realize that they failed to verify their data against the specific context given, you are absolutely spot on. Let's systematically dissect this. The flawed approach on the left relies on a generic factual summary. The student is just data dumping everything they know. It offers superficial breadth but zero analytical depth. It completely fails the AO3 evaluation requirement. Now, look at the flawless correction on the right. This approach uses a context-specific hypothesis that is directly, inextricably backed by verified data extraction from the actual text. They didn't just list facts in a vacuum. They interpreted the dynamic relationship between those facts and the author's specific opinion. They showed the examiner exactly how they arrived at their conclusion. That is the exact path to securing full marks.
We have covered a massive, intensive amount of high-level academic strategy today. Let's transition to Section 6 and synthesize this entire masterclass into the core, memorable pillars you absolutely need to take with you into the exam room.
Lock these 3 core pillars into your memory right now. We call these our master strategies. Number 1 is the 3-step question scan. Before you write a single word, you must scan the prompt to isolate the command word, identify the content knowledge required, and map out the hidden constraints. Number 2 is the paragraph balance formula. Rigidly follow our 5-step extraction to presentation sequence, balancing Alex's factual extraction with Sam's deep conceptual evaluation. Never hide your logic, show that clear working to guarantee those method marks. And number 3 is the last 5 minutes review checklist. Move beyond the basic facts by rigorously checking that you have evaluated the perspectives and justified your hypotheses with text-based evidence. If you aren't doing that in the last 5 minutes, you are leaving marks on the table.
Look, crushing your Cambridge exams and hitting those top A-star bands requires a relentless, consistent strategy, and you absolutely do not have to figure it all out alone. I want you to hit that subscribe button for ACE the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels at the handle @AceTheExam_IGCSE right now. Turn on the notification bell so you are the first to get our next deep dive into exam hacks and examiner secrets. And before you click away, leave a comment below with your exact target grade. Put it out there, let us know what you are aiming for, and let's work together to make it happen.
I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought as you jump into your past papers this week. What is the very first assumption you are going to question the next time a prompt asks you to evaluate a discussion point? Don't just accept what the text tells you. Start challenging the material immediately. Start applying that rigorous evidence-based reasoning, because mastering how to evaluate opinions versus hypotheses is the ultimate key to unlocking that A-star. Keep pushing your analysis, keep evaluating, and I will see you in the next explainer.